Evil is not all fun and games.
I came to express the rap I manifest. I manifest. I came to express the rap I manifest.
Yo, what's up everybody? Welcome to episode 45 here on my random haul review series. I am your host Mood616 and thank you once again for stopping in, guys. Yeah, episode 45 is here and I've got one here from Anchor Bay Entertainment Canada. And yes, I was very excited to check this one out because the cover had me super intrigued. As you can see, there's like a clown mask on the cover there, or on the menu there, so kind of got me intrigued. And this is a brand new film, man. It was filmed in 2015, just coming out on media in 2016, and it is called A Place in Hell. This one right here is based on a Philadelphia real-life serial killer. He was a mentally challenged African-American that actually was known as the Corpse Collector. I think he did his killings in like the later 80s, and what he would do is he would, basically abduct these people, have sex with them, kill them, and then continue to have sex with them and stuff. So that's kind of the premise or the basis for this film right here. Now getting into the synopsis, it basically follows a bunch of film students. They have decided that they are going to head out to this Halloween fright farm to shoot their final project for their film class so they can graduate. They figure it's kind of like the perfect location because it's shut down for the winter time, which is cool that this is set at the winter time. It's shut down for the winter, so there's going to be no distractions out there. So they basically make their way out to this Halloween fright farm to start shooting their film. And of course, they start getting picked off one by one. Now, there is a subplot in this film too involving this former police officer. He was a detective at one time, and he's gone basically into like a downward spiral. He's turned into an alcoholic. He's lost his wife. His child has died. And the reasons for that is because he's convinced that the guy that they put away for these killings, previously wasn't the right guy. And he figures that the serial killer is still out there killing off people and stuff like that. So, he's dedicated the last like 5 years of his life trying to find the real killer. But of course, we know that the real killer is actually out there, and he's at this Halloween fright farm picking off these film students one by one. Yes, and that is the premise of the film. Now, my thoughts on this one. I'll start with the good. First off, I really did like these ideas of, film students going out to do films and things like that. I know it's a very cliche idea, and, the whole idea of this whole film is very cliche and stuff, but, if executed properly, these can be very fun. So I do like the idea of these film students going out there to, especially a setting like the Halloween Fright Farm. It's kind of cool. You do get to see a little bit of the setup of this Halloween Fright Farm and stuff, which is pretty cool. Another thing that I really like about this is that it's set in the wintertime. There's like this snowstorm and stuff, and they kind of get trapped in there and stuff. But I really like the winter setting. I always have been a big fan of horror films set in the winter. It's just such a great landscape to see, the white snow and just the coldness, and I think it's a great setting for a film. Not really a whole lot of other things about this film I really enjoyed, though, to be honest. Getting to the bad, yeah, the premise is very cliche, but this one is executed kind of poorly in my opinion. It has a lot of characters in this film that, are either uber annoying or just not that interesting. Now, there's this one character, her name is Holly Monroe, kind of based off, Marilyn Monroe. She is probably the epitome of one of the most annoying characters I've ever seen on film in my entire life. Now, you gotta remember, this is a bunch of film students heading out to this Halloween Fright Farm to shoot their film, or their film school film, and she's already thinking that she's a star. She keeps acting like, she wants to be in every scene, and she's just uber annoying. It's just like, it's so dreadful to watch. It's terrible. So, you got that kind of character, and the other characters aren't annoying or bad characters. They're just kind of forgettable and just kind of very generic type characters, which is kind of a shame because it really doesn't sell the film, because this one is a little bit of a slow burn. It only runs just over 80 minutes, 84, 85 minutes or something like that, and nothing really starts happening until about more than the halfway point in the film. So, you think you kind of get to know these characters and stuff like that, but ultimately, they're just kind of boring, the characters themselves, along with the plot and stuff, because they're only there to do their film, and then they spend a lot of time on the subplot with the detective and his former boss, kind of going through the motions with this new detective and stuff, and telling the story about John McGinnis is the character's name that's gone on the downward spiral. So they're kind of, looking into him a little bit. So you got all that going and stuff, but it doesn't really develop that great. There is minor plot holes in this also because coming towards, the end of the film, he just kind of shows up at this right farm and stuff like that. So there is random things that are happening in this that are, need to be filled in with the plot that wasn't there. Getting into the kills themselves, I would have to say that the kills themselves were not gory, a little bit bloody, not too bad. And I did like a couple of the things that, the couple of the kills, the way they were shot. They just like come out of nowhere and stuff like that. That was okay. There is one scene in the film where he actually is wearing a mask for the kill, which I thought was pretty cool. But otherwise, he's unmasked. He's an unmasked killer. Kind of boring, very generic. He kind of reminds me of Tiny Lister a little bit. Zeus, Tiny Lister is everybody, big guy. He ultimately reminds me exactly like him. He's very burly, huge, just a big black guy. So the killer is actually kind of boring. He doesn't appear till later in the film, in the last half an hour or whatever. And there isn't really a lot of suspense in this, which is kind of underutilized because in a Halloween Fright Farm, you got this whole Halloween setup and things like that. There's a little bit of scenes in the end of the film, but it's just not that thrilling. They don't really show a whole lot of it, which is kind of a down point to the film. And it's kind of a shame. It's just underutilized. Not really a lot of atmosphere in this one either, because a lot of the kills and initial kills and stuff happen during the day, so there isn't a lot of that nighttime atmosphere. The tone is kind of serious. It's serious, but there is elements of dark humor and humor in there, which I didn't mind. I just wish more of this was set actually at night. Once the film starts to get going with the killings, it does ultimately turn to night. But it's over very fast, and like I said, there's a couple plot holes towards the end that just weren't really cutting it for me. So overall, if the film looks good, it's got some some decent music. The music a little generic at times, but this one really just didn't do anything for me at all. I think it's very forgettable characters. The killer's not that great. The kills aren't that great. This is a slasher film. You can have a generic setup and still execute it very well. Like I said, some of the kills were executed pretty well, just not that exciting. So ultimately, if I had to rate this film, I'm probably just going to give it about a 4 out of 10. I can't really recommend it. The cover just looks so much better than the actual film itself, which is a shame. There is some, the cast, there's actually no nudity in this one, which is very surprising considering the nature of what this real life serial killer was doing. He'd have sex with them and then kill them and then have sex with them again. They do show one scene with him actually violating a dead body after. It's from far away, but you do get the gist of it. But I just figured that they didn't utilize the killer and that type of elements to a slasher film as much as they probably could have. But yeah, it is what it is. 4 out of 10, guys. I can't really recommend that one. Kind of a shame. I was really looking forward to it. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for episode 45 here on the Random Horror Review series. Check you guys next time. Peace out, homies. A place in hell deserves a place in your horror library. Michael Joy, horrornews.net. No, you're lying, man.
Evil. It's not all fun and games.